They tried to stop me, they tried to drop me. They put 8 million pixels on a screen to co-opt me, and yet they still can't stop me. You see, I freed myself so I can be myself, because being someone else is bad for my health.
Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach, Uncle Renz. And excuse my voice, I'm still getting over my allergies. But I want to talk to you today about a video that I saw a couple days ago. This video had a gentleman. He was talking about religion, basically. And what he was doing was he's comparing the Numa Elish, which is the Sumerian tablets, to the Genesis story. After 2 minutes, I couldn't listen to him anymore. I couldn't listen to him anymore because he invalidated himself right off the bat, because everything was already brainwashed, pushed to one side. Anytime you're speaking and you're calling an ancient religion a myth, when you're calling it paganistic, when you're already putting a negative connotation on it, then you've already said what your stance is. So there's really no need for me to listen, because I already know where you're gonna go. So it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if the other information is correct. It wouldn't matter if the other information is older than yours. You're gonna continue to push your agenda. And some even may say that I'm pushing my agenda. Well, I am. My agenda is just, it is what it is. I really don't care which direction it goes. It just is what it is, and that's what I believe in following. Whatever it is what it is, and I will accept what it is. Now, here's the thing, but it did get me started thinking about myths and the fact that people will call ancient religions myth. I call them ancient religions because that's what they are. So let's break down first, what is a myth? A myth is not a story that's untrue. False, whether it's true or false, actually has nothing to do with a myth. A myth really is just an old story that has had staying power to last long enough that people still tell the story. But a myth also generally is a story that explains either something that the science of the day did not understand. It explains why and how things works. It explains the origin of other things, or they are epic hero tales, usually to explain the conditions of man. And you also have myths that are designed to teach you a lesson. Stories designed to teach you a lesson. So I think the guy who was making the video really don't understand what a myth is. It doesn't mean that it's false. There are some things that people said that they believe were myth that are actually truer than the stories that we tell today. I mean, if you look at some of the Sumerian stories, the Sumerian stories, or myth as he liked to call them, tells you of a flood worldwide, tells you of people worldwide going up into the mountains, worldwide people building boats in order to survive. Those who had the Anunnaki blood or married to an Anunnaki, they were allowed to survive. It tells you that this happened worldwide, that they went up. Now, the biblical story just tells you one dude and his 3 sons and their wives were the only ones who went into a boat. Okay, if that is true, then how do you explain all the people around the world who survived? How do you explain the people in Peru, the people in China, the people in India who all survived? How do you explain the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is exactly the same as the biblical story? Everybody around the world, different cultures who were around at that time frame, different civilizations, have the same story of the gods or a god coming and telling them that this flood is coming, go up into the mountains or build a boat. But only a certain people were told this story. So how is it that they still have this same story that was told around about the same time? So which one is the truth and which one is false? Evidence today shows that the one of the worldwide story, the one of the Anunnaki story, the Numa Elish, is the truer story, because we have evidence to prove it. You can go and see the evidence of the people in Peru, the people in Chile, who knew the story to go up into the mountains because this flood was coming, and that God had told a few people, go up into the mountain. So myth has nothing to do with truth or not. It's just a story that lasts, a story that continues, a story that tells you a lesson, or teaches you a lesson, teaches you about origins, teaches you about lessons that you should learn, how to live your life on a daily basis, codifying rules. In every mythos, Most of them have a creation story of things coming either out of chaos, things coming out of the abyss, things coming out of darkness, things coming out of the water, or some kind of sexual interaction that spawns creation. Pretty much all of them have those elements. And when you look at the Bible, you look at the Quran, you look at the Torah, you look at the Sumerian tablets, you look at anybody else's story, look at the Egyptian story, it's either they're coming out of water, it's some kind of sexual union, they're coming out of darkness, they're coming out of chaos. And the god or gods create order and then build the land and build earth. And in almost every case, the gods or the god establishes the animals, but then find the animals are in need and then creates man. I mean, in the Aztec story, they recreate the earth. The creation happens 4 times. Because like I said, okay, I made it. Need a little tweaking. Make it again. Need a little tweaking. Make it again. Excuse me. So you have that same story going on over and over again. God's coming down and having sex with the women. It's not just a Hebrew story. It's not just a Bible story. It's a Sumerian story. It's a Greek story. It's a Roman story. It's an Indian story. It's a Hindu story. It's a Native American story. It's a South American. It's an Aztec story. It's everybody's story has the gods coming down and having sex with women and producing these half god, half man children who had like incredible strength or did these incredible things, who were the heroes, the men of renown, and then later became the fallen angels. So they all got these same stories. But what makes something a myth, something false, is that whatever people believe today, what people believe, and this is the strength of what I really want to talk about on this video, is that belief is the power that most people are utilizing. Belief. The only reason something is an ancient religion now is because the belief fell away. Some of you are going to say that, well, because Jesus came, that's why it fell away, and the Romans and all that. But if that was true, then why are there Muslims? Why are there Hindu? Why are there Buddhists? Why are there Zoroastrians? Why are there Taoists? Why are there Jews? Why are there African spirituality? Why is there Native American spirituality? Why do you have South American Native spirituality? Why do you still have that? You still got the, I can't remember the people down in Australia that just fell out of my head, but they still have their ancient religions. So why do you still have them? Aboriginals. You still got all of that. So it's not because Jesus came. It's not because Muhammad came. It's not because the Jews are still waiting on the Messiah. That it's the simple fact that people still believe in it. And as long as there is belief, as long as people still believe, it will still be here. It will never go away. And until people stop believing in something, until the majority of people stop, then it becomes ancient myth, because there's no one here to defend it. No one will defend the Greek religion, the ancient Greek religion. Plus, the other reason why they die is because science began to disprove it. The Greeks said that the gods lived on Mount Olympus. Well, we can go to the top of Mount Olympus. There's no one there. Now, if somebody was still trying to be a proponent of the Greeks, they would say, well, the gods are transcendent, that we cannot see them with our physical eye. So even if you went to the top of Mount Olympus, you can't see them. So it comes down to what? Faith. Right. Belief comes down to faith. The strength of the faith of something gives you belief. Now, there's an interesting show that's coming on. I think it already started on Stars. It's called The American Gods. I haven't seen it yet, but it's a show based on the fact of how the Norse guys, the Egyptian guys, and all these guys from other regions, ancient guys, came to America, and they're trying to keep this. They're trying to build themselves up. But the strength of them being here is based on the people who still believe them, like Thoth and Isis and all these people. Is the strength of the people who believe in them now, who will understand them and talk about them now. Odin or Wotan, the strength of people doing something, believing, and doing ritual sacrifices for Odin, for Wotan. That happened in America when some of the Irish and whatnot came over, some of the Scandinavians came over, and now Wotan is here in America, Odin is here in America, and he has power because of the strength of their belief. There was a movie, Clash of the Titans, the remake of it. The guys of the Greeks said that we've learned to live on their prayers, that we need them to pray more because we're becoming weaker because they're not praying to us as much. They're not believing in us as much. Whereas Hades said, I've learned to live on their fears. Basically, I scare the hell out of them. And because they fear me, I will live off the energy of their fears. So think about it. God lives off your energy, right? Without your belief, there would be no God. If man across the nation, across the world decided that there is no God, then 100 years from now, people will be talking about how the gods that Christianity is an ancient, old myth. Judaism is an ancient, old myth. Hindu is an ancient, old myth. Islam is an ancient, old myth. Everything today would be a myth if people stop believing in it today, and in 100 years, 200 years, everything today would be a myth. It would be considered false, considered the fancy of people. That we've discovered that when the body dies, the consciousness energy goes off into a fifth dimension, I don't know, something, right? Let's say that was the lesson, that was the belief in 200 years. And guess what? Everything else today will be a myth and will be considered false. It will be considered fancy tales of trying to teach you a moral story, how to live your life, how to be a good human, how to evolve your spirit. Now that is what the new age is about. That is what the age of Aquarius is about. That's what the age of Aquarius, that's in transition now from the age of Pisces. This is why you see so many people moving away from the age of Pisces religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hindu, Buddhism, moving away from the age of Pisces religions and are moving into the age of Aquarius. And what the age of Aquarius is going to be about transcendentalism. Can't get it out. It's going to be about spirituality. It's going to be about the Hermetics. Really, it's coming back of something that was old. And if you really want to dive into it, you have to think about it like this. Everything is on a cycle. 26,000 years to have a great year. That means that in 26,000 years, the equinox will position itself in each zodiac. Right now it's moving into the zodiac of Aquarius, right? So it takes 26,000 years for the great year to occur. That means that the age of Aquarius had been here 26,000 years ago. So we're moving back to what was the thought back then. Well, excuse me. What was the belief back then? What was the consciousness back then? The Egyptians talk about how we go through ages. Golden age, silver age, copper, and then iron, and then go back up. These are golden ages. The Aztec calendar, 13 Bantus, and then how the calendar just starts over again. So we're going through these ages. We're going through a repeat cycle. Man is going to move back into a point of spirituality where we understand the spirit and the levels of the spirit. So you can call those religions a myth now, but in the next 150 years or less, it will become less and less a myth. The origin stories may not be here. The origin stories may be understood more as an analogy than a literal. And that is one of the things from the age of Pisces. Everything was taken so literally that the literalist won. But in the age of Aquarius, the literalists will not be the victors. It will be the symbologists. It will be the ones who understand that everything has an allegorical story and meaning to it, and it is for you to understand the allegory and then to move forward with that. That the allegory of dying on the cross is the dying of the flesh. But when you place the cross, here's one for you. When you place the cross on the tree of life and superimpose the tree of life, you'll see that the dioth is in the third eye. And that the dioth means, I gotta make sure I get it right. The dioth, it's not just about knowledge, but the dioth is the door. The lettering in Hebrew means door, eye, cross. The door and its eye, which is the cross, and the cross, the mark. The door, eye, cross, door, eye, mark. So if you look at the pineal gland, it sits in the cross section of the brain. And it is considered your third eye. It is where your vision comes from, where your dreams come from. And remember, if you have a lack of vision, then my people will perish. So it's a doorway. And it's a doorway, that pineal gland is a doorway to your subconscious, to the spiritual plane. So the dying on the cross will be seen as the symbolism of the doorway to accessing your pineal gland, releasing the DMT so that you can enter into what? The spiritual plane. So that your understanding of the spiritual plane will become synonymous with the material plane. And when you study the Kabbalion, you begin to understand that even at a deeper level. So, I would never dare to call another person's religion from 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago a myth. Were they allegories? Sure. Allegories to explain why the sun comes up and why it goes down. Allegories to explain why the King Midas touching everything turns to gold, that, you know, you got to have a right attitude and behavior and not be so greedy and focused on material wealth. You know, I will understanding the lessons is very important. And these are ways to teach people, because not everybody can get deep. A lot of the depth that I go into in these videos, people can't go there. Whereas there are people who are like, please give me more because you're not giving me enough. And so we tell allegories, we tell stories so that people can get it of all ages. We tell stories like we're talking to a 3-year-old. So you have dragons and lizards and heroes and things like that so that people get the story, get the allegory. But then people will realize that I can make money off this if I make it real. If I make it a literalist, I can control people. If I can make it a literal story, I can control you. So we don't do that. So I can't do that. Anyway, moving along. Fact of the matter is, I would never call somebody's religion a myth. It's what they believe. And if you were alive in 900 BCE before the Common Era, and you were in Greece, you would believe in the Greek gods. You would swear up and down. You would go to your grave worshiping Zeus or Jupiter or whomever. If you were a Norse, you would worship Thor and believe that if you fight valiantly, that you might join the Valkyrie. If you were in Nigeria, you know, you might look at Anansi and say and worship Anansi and not even know it. I mean, take it to your death and believe it full barrel. So I'm sorry, guys, excuse the coughing and everything. But so never knock down somebody by calling it a myth, all right? Because if you were back then, you wouldn't have called it a myth. You would have been worshiping Mithra. If you was in the Roman army and you was an officer, you definitely would have been worshiping Mithra during the time of Constantine and Vespasian, and during the whole that time frame of I can't think of their last name, but during that dynasty, not the Caesar dynasty, but the next one that came after him. So Flavius, during the Flavian dynasty. I'm sorry, these allergies got my brain a little muddled. But during the Flavian dynasty, you would have still been there. You'd have been worshiping whatever it was based on your status. Based on your status. If you was born in India, you'd be talking about Brahma. So don't discount somebody just because you was born where you are and born here and the circumstances of your birth. That doesn't make you right just because of the circumstances of your birth. And don't disrespect somebody else's, because as soon as you do that, they can disrespect yours. You can disrespect anybody's religion if you choose to, and you can find evidence to back it up. And then, of course, just like Leonardo da Vinci said, people can be ignorant, but being ignorant is not an excuse. Being ignorant is not an excuse. You have the duty, the solemn duty to yourself, to study, and study individually. There was a funny movie, Men in Black. Some of you younger ones may not even know the first one. I'm old enough to know that some people don't even know some of these movies. But Men in Black, the first one, he said that the individual person is smart, but humans, people are dumb and panicky. So don't be part of the herd. Go study on your own, study individually, learn for yourself. Because I'm telling you, if you do not learn for yourself, then you are subject to whatever the mass is doing. And the masses are not the chosen. The masses will be the ones who will have to repeat, the ones who will have to still learn. And if you're in that group, I hope that you break away from it. Don't be so dogmatic that you can't look at something without a predetermined landing point. The guy who was making that video, he had a predetermined landing point. He already knew where he wanted to go. It didn't matter what the information presented. It didn't matter that the Enuma Elish is older than any Hebrew writing. whatsoever. It didn't matter that the stories told by the Sumerians were told prior. He even admitted that Abraham was from Samaria, was from Sumer, that he was Sumerian. He admitted it. Not Sumerian, S-A, but Sumerian. He even admitted it, but failed to admit the fact that he would have known those stories. He would have been part of the Anunnaki story. And that none of it was written. And even if Moses did write it, he's writing it based on the knowledge that Abraham came from Samaria. He wrote it based on the knowledge of the Anunnaki, of Enlil, of Enki. He would have known that story, and it was written based on that. And I'm not trying to take away your Bible. I'm not taking away your Quran or your Torah or your Vedics. I'm not trying to take them away. I'm trying to give them to you in a way that you can see them for what they really are, so that you can see them in their true light, so that you can understand the allegory within all of them. That the true lesson is for you to understand that you are a divinely spiritual being, that you are more than what they have given you credit for, that you are not filthy rags that's not worthy of the love of the Creator, that the Creator created you in His own image. That's like you looking at your child and saying, you are a filthy rag, my child. You are of my image, but you are not valuable. You are not worth it to me unless I create some kind of major sacrifice for you. Because other than that, you are filthy to me. You cannot belong and be with me. What parent would say that to their child that was made in their image? This is built and designed to keep you down, keep you under control. Add it so that you will never feel that you are worthy of the divine spirit that you were given, that you were blessed with, that you were created from. You were created from a divine spirit. You are a divine spirit. And you have been convinced and told and tricked into believing that you are not valuable, that you are not worth it. And to do that is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, because that blasphemy against your own spirit, which is in the image of the Creator Spirit in itself, is blasphemy against the Creator Spirit. And it doesn't matter what religion, ancient or new, they all teach that. So y'all have a great day. Be blessed. Understand that your greatness is non-negotiable. Your greatness, when I talk about greatness, I'm talking about your spirit. Your greatness is non-negotiable. And that you got to free yourself. Talk about your spirit. You got to free yourself. I'm talking about your spirit. You got to free yourself. I'm talking about your spirit. To be yourself. Being the spirit. Being the spirit. Not talking about it, not wishing for it, not hoping for it, not praying for it, but being it. And there is a distinct difference in being something than looking for something or learning of something or wanting for something. Be your spirit by freeing your spirit, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Your spirit is non-negotiable because it's made in the image of the all, of the Creator. So y'all have a great day and be blessed. That's all I can say.